Hi, everyone. Harry here on the ongoing Texas gerrymandering dispute and Texas Governor Greg Abbott's latest violation of the rule of holes. If you're in a hole, stop digging. All right. Texas Republicans want to re-gerrymander the already gerrymandered map in Texas to create count them, five new Republican members of the House of Representatives, which right now, as you know, has like a 2 to 3 person advantage. So that would really change the profile of 2026 when Democrats are thought widely to have an advantage. It's a big nationwide issue for that reason. California is talking about countering, etc. All right. But the Republicans start to do this and just with straight power politics, ram it through, even though it's very unusual to do it now. And there's more things they have to do. So the Democrats do something that we've seen them do once before, a few years back, actually a kind of similar issue. They leave town because the Texas Constitution requires a certain number of representatives, legislators there in order to transact business. And with no Dems, they don't have the numbers to do it. So they're fit to be tied, and Abbott is apoplectic, and he's saying how terrible all this stuff is. And Donald Trump is talking about getting the FBI on them. Meantime, the caucus is in friendlier climes, like in blue states, having sandwiches at the being hosted by the Illinois Democratic Caucus and the like. And it turns out basically that Greg Abbott is all wet. He cannot send out Texas Rangers to arrest them. In part, they have done nothing wrong. There's no crime of not showing up for your seat in the Texas legislature. So he talks tough, but has really nothing to go by it. He's got one legal possible recourse, but I don't think it works. But he has now played that card. There is a provision under Texas law that if someone abandons her or his office, then the court can grant a writ saying that office has been abandoned, and then it's open and you can do a new special election. So imagine a situation where a legislator, just sort of disappears, would be a perfect paradigm. Now, what do? That in theory, you look on the files and, the records, and it's still so-and-so in that office, but so-and-so is gone. How can you go ahead and go forward with the government and give the people of the district where that now disappeared legislator sits their representation in the state legislature? So here's what you do. You go to court and ask for a writ of quo warranto. That's a sort of hoary, old sort of, a lot of this stuff is like Blackstone. And the judge can declare, yep, that's been abandoned. And from there, the governor can call a special new election. Now, it's the entire caucus of the Democrats that up and left. But Abbott, the governor, has taken aim now at, we talked a few days ago, what are you going to do? Quo warrantos on everyone? Special elections on everyone? Forget about it, as they say in Texas. But there is Gene Wu, the head of the caucus for Democrats, and now Greg Abbott has brought this quo warranto act before the Texas Supreme Court. That's pretty weird in and of itself, but he thinks, and it's probably true under Texas law, you can elevate it because it's a big emergency. Probably he just likes his chances in the Texas Supreme Court better. But to declare Wu's seat abandoned, and then he is gone out. It's, his seat's been erased. They do a special election. Now, of course, that's just one vote. So he's just looking to punish and play tough because They still wouldn't have a quorum unless they do it for everyone else, or all the Democrats say, oh no, he did it to Wu, so we better fall into line and, salute and go back like good legislators to the House and resume our duties. But, look, we've got a case in Texas, as we do in many places in the country, in which people are really ruthless in their imposition of minority prerogative, even if you only have that much. This is really raw stuff, too, in the middle of a cycle. States don't do it then. Insert 5 new seats and Trump's all over it. It's a national issue. So minorities need to get creative, and this is creative. And there's, first, for starters, nothing illegal about it. You don't have to, nothing says that they have to show up. If they don't, maybe their voters wouldn't be happy and they would vote them out of office. But that's all it's a political remedy, and presumably their voters are not unhappy because they're choosing an ingenious way to fight back against this really pernicious idea. Okay, but beyond that, even though it only goes against one person and it wouldn't be effective, I think it's all wet anyway, because the writ of quo warranto is for people who truly have abandoned their office. That's the sort of fact issue that a court will determine. These guys haven't abandoned their office. They can say frankly and honestly, no, we don't want to be there now because we don't want there to be a quorum. But as soon as they stop doing this, we're back. It's all good. We haven't abandoned here. And just to give you an example, the only case site they can even come up with for basically this never happens in Texas, but they cite a 1920 case where it happened. And let me tell you what happened there. It says, the Texas court held an officer can forfeit their right to compensation if they abandon the office through non-use, even if they never formally resign. So that's another reason, right? You wouldn't need this. The guy just, decides never to show up, and, come on, that just won't cut it. All right. The case, Henry Steingruber, he's appointed as a park commissioner of San Antonio. Then the mayor appointed somebody else to replace him. Now, it's a situation where it's not clear it was effective, but Steingruber surrenders his office, gives over the city property. He's park commissioner to Walker, never attempts to enforce his rights, never tries to continue performing official duties. Walker starts doing the job, collects the salary. Steingruber does nothing else to try to claim the job. On these facts, the court concluded that Steingruber had, yes, abandoned the office. But that is so very far removed from what's going on in Texas today. And, unless the court is completely in the tank for Abbott, there's just no really even colorable argument that Wu has somehow abandoned his office in the way that, say, Steingruber in the only case they cite. They also cite Blackstone, in the days of King James, where tax collectors completely, forfeited their rights, etc. But this ain't that. It's very far from that. And Abbott, I think, is gonna, dig a deeper hole for himself and have this be kind of shoved back in his face. Now, I've talked about this, I think, and temporarily the Dems hold the upper hand. I think this is really an effective, if extreme, remedy that a minority can employ. On the other hand, the Republicans have until the end of the year to make this happen. It's not simply passing it. They need to draw the lines, etc., but they can probably do it in quick work, especially since all they care about is trying to ram through the numbers. So it becomes a little bit tricky. Presumably the Dems aren't going to stay away indefinitely. If they come back, can they then leave again? So the timeline will change the dynamic here, perhaps, but nothing with what Greg Abbott's doing, nothing about the law, and some effort to say, they're violating their duties. There's a lot of umbrage of, duties to the people of Texas there, but they're exercising their duties in the best way they can, given that the fix is in. And even less, by the way, Donald Trump, we're going to get the FBI out on them to do what exactly? Nothing. So it's all impotent on their parts, and that's the latest. But, the question is, can the Dems effectively keep business from being conducted for, the 5 more months or so? And that's when the posture and profile here may begin to be a little bit different. For now, though, I think they're sitting pretty, and Greg Abbott is digging himself a deeper hole. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.